This year's NBA rookie class has been interesting to say the least, but if we redrafted right now, nearly at the end of the regular season, what would change? The Magic at number 1 shocked a ton of people, deciding to go with Duke's Paolo Banchero, and I definitely think they're going to do that once again. There's for sure a case to be made for Chet, I truly believe that, but we're going to have to wait to see him on the NBA court to really strengthen that case. Banchero so far has had a really impressive rookie campaign, and I don't think there's many doubting his bright future. This year he's averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Now it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We've seen a lot of inconsistency, and he's shooting just 42% from the field and 28% from 3. But when you consider what he can do with the ball in his hands at that size, one's defenses really start to respect his shooting, and I'm not just talking about from 3, he shoots less than 40% from the field in every distance that's not within 3 feet. I think we'll really see his full game unleashed, especially as a playmaker. Considering the Magic were projected to go with Jabari Smith the entire draft process, I think they're ecstatic on how the draft turned out. The Oklahoma City Thunder are at 2, and originally, they went with Gonzaga 7-footer Chet Holmgren, and while there's been a lot of really impressive rookies so far, I just don't think anyone comes close to impressive enough for the Thunder not to still take the chance on Chet even after the injury. Today's video is sponsored by PrizePicks, a sports pick'em platform where by picking more or less on player stats, you can win up to 25 times your entry. It's available for players over the age of 19 in over 30 US states, but state restrictions may vary state to state. With the big tournament kicking off this week, I'm really excited to make some entries, and I've got a fun one for tonight. One of my favorite matchups in the first round is Oral Roberts vs Duke, so I've got to take some points for players in that. I'm going Jeremy Roach and 7'5" giant Connor Vanover. I'm then going Boo Buie points, Josiah James points, and some guys that we're going to be talking about soon when it comes to the draft, and Keontae George and Chris Murray. All this happens, my $20 entry becomes $500, but since it's a flex play, I'll still get lesser payouts for 5 and 4 out of 6. If this sounds interesting, go to the link in the description, and when you use code JimmerRange when you sign up, they're going to give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. Now I want to emphasize that PrizePicks should be used for entertainment purposes and played responsibly. Thank you PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. At 3 is going to be the Houston Rockets, and this is actually an interesting spot. It's going to be our first team to switch up from their original selection. In June, they decided to go with Jabari Smith, someone that appeared to be a clear-cut elite prospect, but so far, in Houston, things just haven't gone quite as planned. So they decided to go with a guy that's just exploded up the redraft board recently, and that's going to be the original 12th overall pick to the Thunder, Jalen Williams. The case is as clear as it gets. In the last 13 games, he's averaging 20 points on a ridiculous 56% from the field and 48% from 3. That's arguably the best run we've seen from any rookie so far, and he's been pretty consistent all season. He's an insane athlete with true top option ability as a scorer on the wing. It's got to be a great feeling for Thunder fans seeing 2 of their selections from the most recent draft taken in the top 3 in this redraft. The Kings are at 4, and this was actually a really tough one. On draft night, they decided to make a surprising selection considering who was on the board and go with Keegan Murray. I really thought about switching this pick, as there's undoubtedly some guys here with a lot more upside, but at the end of the day, things are going great in Sacramento, so they decided to stay put. Murray's been super solid all season. He's been pretty limited to being a spot-up shooter, but he's done that with the best of them, averaging 12 points and 5 rebounds, shooting 41% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. There wasn't a soul that thought the Kings would be the 2nd seed in the West at this point in the season, but here we are. The Pistons are at 5, and I really feel this is one of the closest decisions in the entire redraft. Do they stick with their original selection of Jaden Ivey, or do they switch it up and go with a player that was originally taken with the very next selection, Benedict Mathurin? Man, is this one close. I really think it's a toss-up, but I think the Pistons bank on the ridiculous upside Mathurin has showed as a scorer. I definitely think he comes with a lot more risk, but this is a guy that began his NBA career with a 13-game stretch averaging 20 points, shooting 46% from the field and from 3 off the bench. Now, it hasn't been smooth sailing since. He's dealt with efficiency struggles, but what rookie isn't, especially this season, so I think the Pistons go with a guy that has true top option ability. Now, the Pacers come up next at 6, and Mathurin just got snagged, so they have a decision to make. Jaden Ivey or Jabari Smith, 2 guys that weren't even on the board when they first made this selection. I think it's completely reasonable to go with Jabari Smith, but I think it's Ivey here. It's been up and down for him this season, but this is a guy that was sprung into a massive role with the injury to Cade Cunningham, and overall, I think he's been impressive. He's a 2-way combo guard with elite upside that this year is averaging 15 points and 5 assists. Going forward, I think he'd be a super interesting complement to Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. 7 is where we find the Blazers, and we finally see Jabari Smith come off the board. This has to be the most interesting situation when it comes to this redraft. This is a guy almost every single outlet had going number 1 leading up to the draft. The Magic obviously decided to go with Paolo, but he still landed inside the top 3 going to the Rockets. So far, it just hasn't been what we expected. He's averaging 12 points, shooting just 41% from the field and 31% from 3. Now, efficiency struggles have pretty much been a team-wide concern in Houston, which makes me hesitant to have him fall this far, but with what we've seen, I think it's justified. Now, I am still in on Jabari Smith. Despite the numbers, I believe in the shooting ability we saw at Auburn. Comboed with his versatility as a defender, a bright future is ahead in my opinion, but I am starting to lose faith in that elite level ceiling. The Pelicans at 8 went with a high upside point guard, Dyson Daniels, out of the NBL. I definitely don't think they're too upset with that decision, but here with the opportunity to redo it and some new players on the board, they're going to go elsewhere. They still shoot for upside without there being a clear win-now difference maker and go Shaedon Sharpe. Sharpe was such a fascinating prospect coming into the draft, as he was the top player in his high school class, but we didn't get the chance to see him in college. He was undoubtedly the bang or bust prospect of this class. So far, he hasn't gotten too much attention, but he's definitely gotten some people excited for what's to come. He's a jaw-dropping athlete that I think has exceeded expectations with his versatility as a scorer. He's averaging a decently efficient 8 points a game, and the Pelicans are more than comfortable taking a shot on him, as this is a guy legitimately in the middle of his first season post-high school basketball. With the 9th overall pick, we've got the Spurs, and they're going to go with one of the bigger surprises of this class, Walker Kessler. Kessler originally went with the 22nd pick to the Timberwolves, and then was sent to the Utah Jazz in the Rudy Gobert trade. So far, he's been a huge bright spot for Utah. As of right now, his game is simple. He's super efficient at the basket and has proven to be an incredible rim protector. On the season, he's averaging 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. He's not the highest upside player on the board, but he's without a doubt one of the most surefire. Obviously, the selection wouldn't be too great if the Spurs end up with the top pick in June, but just about every other spot sets up for a really well-rounded roster with the selection of Walker Kessler. With the 10th overall pick, we've got the Washington Wizards, who are jumping up and down to remake this selection, as they originally went with Johnny Davis, a player that has a ways to go from getting back into the conversation. Here they're going to go with Pistons rookie Jalen Duren, who so far has been a really impressive athlete on both ends. He's averaging 9 points and 9 rebounds, and considering he's quite literally the youngest player in the entire league, I think almost everyone is excited about what's to come. Next up is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are holding back-to-back picks. There's several routes they could go, but I have them doubling up on forwards, going with Tari Eason and Jeremy Sohan. Eason is a guy that in the very near future could be going way higher than this. Coming into the draft, we all knew about the crazy physical profile, including record-breaking hand size. But since going with the 17th overall pick, he's really exceeded expectations as a scorer. He was one of the most impressive players in the Summer League, and so far this year has averaged 9 points and 6 rebounds, shooting 46% from the field and 37% from 3. Now at 12, we originally saw them go with Jalen Williams, so they're not too excited about remaking this specific selection, where they're going to go with Baylor forward Jeremy Sohan. Sohan came into the league on the back of his defensive versatility, and so far in that department, he's been really good. Offensively, he's had some blow-up games that give you hope, but the shooting is the concern right now. As that improves, we could really start to see him fly up the board. So far, he's averaging 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. At 13, the Pistons are back on the clock, and they're going to go with a guy that's been climbing lately, Spurs rookie Malachi Branham. After a really solid summer league, I was surprised to see him have such a small role to begin the season, but lately that's changed, and we're really seeing that scoring upside we saw from him coming out of Ohio State. Since February, he's averaged 14 points on super solid efficiency. I think he's the perfect risk-reward option for the Pistons that walk away from this draft with both him and Mathurin clearly focusing on scoring. With the last pick of the lottery, the Cavaliers are going to play it safe and go with 3-and-D wing AJ Griffin. This year he's averaged 9 points, shooting 38% from 3. Considering he was once looked at as a projected top 5 pick in the draft, the Hawks got amazing value at 16, and the Cavs still are getting amazing value here at 14. This list is ever changing, there's definitely a few spots that are interchangeable, but I want to know what you guys would change. Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash the like and sub button, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.